Hello and welcome to Swipe. Coming up, technology to transform tries. Could virtual reality help make our sports stars better? Turning 25, we say happy birthday to the World Wide Web. Aye, how advertisers could use Google Glass to transform how we see the world. Plus, we are battling Dracula and searching for the stick of truth in this week's Games Review. In the sporting world, clubs are always looking for the latest way to get ahead of each other, and increasingly they're turning to tech. Gameplay statistics and wearable monitors are already being used. Now, some experts believe virtual reality headsets could transform how our athletes train. But is it all just an expensive gimmick? Sky's Tom Platt reports.
Many fans dream of the opportunity to train with the England rugby team, and with advances in tech, that dream is becoming a virtual reality.
Memories. Pride.
Now, luckily, you don't have to be built like a rugby player to try out this piece of kit. This is the Oculus Rift, and the experience that's been built basically gives the average fan the chance to be part of the team and try out training with the England team. Now, at the moment, this is just for fans, but in the future, this kind of experience, this kind of training could help players themselves.
Let's see what you can do.
The technology means that real-life drills can be played out on a headset, and the England captain himself can see a future for virtual sport training.
If there's a guy who's missed a training session or something, if you can just fit in straight to that kind of role, there's a massive opportunity for it, but I'm sure that's a long way away from where it is at the moment.
England rugby attack coach Mike Catt has also said the tech could have real-world advantages, helping players with decision-making.
It's brilliant having you on board. This will make sure you deliver.
Other types of technology are already changing how coaches analyse the game and players chart their performance. They're using analytic software and even wearable tech to get ahead of other clubs.
Sports teams, particularly at the elite end, are increasingly using technology and the data and the insight that technology can give them to make smarter decisions in training and on the pitch.
But the idea of tech training doesn't appeal to everyone. There's an argument games are better off simplified.
Playing in a team sport, the whole concept of that and what makes teams strong is a bond between the team, and you get that by training together. You can track how far a players run, but what doesn't tell you is the influence that they've had on a game. They might have run 400 metres in a game, scored 2 goals and won the game for you.
Whether purists like it or not, with sport technology promising to improve play, the drive to win means there'll be more tech kit on the pitch soon. Tom Platt, Sky News.
You're watching Swipe. Coming up, could Google Glass change how we interact with adverts? But first, we're celebrating a very special birthday on Swipe this week. Pass out the cake, hoist the bunting, take the sherry away from Granny. The World Wide Web is turning 25. It's certainly not too dramatic to say it's transformed how we live, from communication and education through to how we do business. But it's also come with its own set of problems, issues like hacking, cyberbullying and the dark web. So, a quarter of a century on, where are we now? Sky's Katie Spencer has been taking a look.
The web has grown to touch the lives of almost everyone on Earth. A powerful force that's transformed how we interact in a way that's unlike anything we've ever seen. 25 years later, we've come quite a way since Sir Tim Berners-Lee first set out his vision for the World Wide Web.
My role has been to create the space, right? Just like somebody who creates a big park where you can go and talk.
His plan was a system of interlinked documents to be accessed on the internet using a web browser. One man's revolutionary idea which opened up the world. But while it's created new possibilities, it's also created new problems.
We have Wikipedia on one side, which is really opening up access to information all around the world in incredible ways. But at the same time, our movements are tracked more than ever before. Our data is, no longer our own.
Search engines have made finding out the facts even easier, or have they?
In 2 days now, we generate as a society the information equal to the total amount of information assembled by humanity between birth of humanity and 2002.
Some experts may dispute Eric Schmidt's bold claims about just how quickly the internet's grown, but sorting fact from fiction when it comes to what's on the web is a challenge in itself.
If you like, it's the democratization of knowledge. We have access to pretty much every fact, opinion, thought that the human race has had. Our challenge now is to decode that and understand it and figure out what is opinion and what's fact.
It's changed how we communicate and how much we share, with virtual communities built around social media. It's even helped overthrow governments, with social networking sites playing a crucial role in the Arab Spring. But when we reflect back on the last 25 years, are we in danger of romanticising the web? For all that's good, it's also brought a dark side, from cyberbullying to online fraud on a global level. Harvesting user data has also become big business.
We shouldn't listen to the Tim Berners-Lees of this world. We shouldn't listen to the American entrepreneurs who see the internet as the ultimate way of getting market capitalism without any boundaries into the homes of everybody, whether they're in the United States or not. That is the great danger.
It's likely even bigger challenges lie ahead for the web. With thousands of new domain names set to come online in the next year, that means the web's branches will spread even wider. Katie Spencer, Sky News.
You're watching Swipe. Coming up, we are battling Dracula and searching for the stick of truth in this week's Games Review. But first, who really enjoys reading adverts? Well, how about if, just by looking at an ad, you could instantly have an extra bit of video magically pop up right in front of your eyes? Clearly, it's not going to be everyone's cup of tea, but British firm Blipper is one of the first companies to get its software onto Google Glass.
We're slowly heading towards that Minority Report lifestyle, where you look at things and things come to life. Classic Google Glass menu, you look at it and you say, OK, Glass. And in this case, I'm going to say scan. And that very moment, it launches the Blipper Glass Scanner. And as you can see, it's now interacting the world it is looking at. In that classic sense, now I'm going to use this Oyster card. Everybody knows that. You put it in front of the glass, and it should recognize it in real time. And you can see it gives us live status of all underground networks right now in London, whether it's good service or suspended. Another example would be this. Just visualize that this is a poster. You're going by a museum, and this is from natural history. And again, by just looking at the poster, you can see the dinosaur comes to life. And this is completely a 3D environment, so I can turn it, go nearer to it, and check his jawbone, teeth out. And when I actually want to interact with it, I can tap on it, and it starts moving around and making the growling noises and all of it. And the last one is an ad for a brand called CoverGirl. And if I lift this up and put it in front of the glass, it immediately recognizes the image. You see, if I move it, it moves with it. And if I want to tap it now, it'll take me into the video version of this very print ad. We have this philosophy in Blipper is we treat our software like liquid, and we believe all the different hardware devices are the containers. So phone is the smaller container, tablet is the larger container, and glass is that slimline flower vase. And Blipper should flow into from one container to another absolutely fluid.
You're watching Swipe. Coming up, we are searching for South Park's stick of truth. But first, here's a roundup of anything you might have missed over the last few days. While tensions remain high in Ukraine, security experts say a cyber standoff is underway. There are claims Russia has been disrupting mobile communications, as well as using social media to put out propaganda. Cyber attacks were heavily used for Russia's 2008 conflict with Georgia. However, the Kremlin denies it has the capability to carry out warfare online. There are calls for the UK to follow America's lead and look into banning the use of e-cigarettes. LA has just voted in favour of restricting the battery-powered devices from being used in public spaces like bars and restaurants, following the lead of New York and Chicago. Politicians in the States have argued that vaping, inhaling vaporised liquid nicotine, is renormalising smoking. Could Facebook be about to invest in drones? The social media giant is reportedly in talks to buy manufacturer Titan Aerospace for around £35 million. Now, they make solar-powered drones capable of staying airborne for 5 years at a time. It's thought Facebook could use the technology for their Internet.org project, designed to get developing nations online. Sticking with the social media giants, if you're up to no good in Silicon Valley, you'd better watch out. Facebook has signed up its very own police officer to patrol around its San Francisco headquarters. Menlo Park's got a bit of a reputation for drugs and violence, and Mark Zuckerberg's company is paying £120,000 a year to combat it.
Facebook as a company has not put any restrictions on how we use this officer. All they've ever asked for us is what we can do as a company, meaning Facebook, to help you, law enforcement, in making this a better community.
We're all used to seeing satellite images of the Earth, but high-definition video is usually limited to the military. We'll now get ready for more eyes in the skies. One firm's produced high-def videos of major cities so clear you can even see cars moving. Skybox Imaging hopes to have 24 satellites in orbit by 2015. Now, if you're wondering where I put my stick of truth, gaming superstar Aoife Wilson has the answers on this week's review.
Humans and elves of Sauron, a great evil has descended upon us.
South Park looks and sounds exactly like the TV show.
I believe we are facing a threat to our entire world.
It's got that sort of completely un-PC tone that you would expect. Nothing is sacred. There is, absolutely everything is sent up, but you wouldn't expect anything less from a South Park game. And, it's just so funny. You're the new kid in town, and you're fighting everyone from other kids in school to crab people to sort of unsavory characters. It's so much fun, and if you're a fan of the show, you will absolutely love it, which I did.
Let's beat up Clad!
Thief is another reboot of a classic franchise, so you're back playing as Ghostly Garrett. He's the master thief himself. Works in a lot of ways, but unfortunately it's probably the weakest of our choices this week. The story is a little lackluster, and so you're playing as Garrett. He's woken up after a year in a coma after a botched burglary, and suddenly he finds out that the city is completely gone to the dogs. There's a plague, and there's all these things going on, and of course he's going to rectify that by stealing loads of stuff. So the plot is it's very inconsistent, and the city itself is quite disjointed. The worst sort of aspect of that would probably be the fact that you can't jump on your own. It's sort of like you have to go walk up to an object and it will prompt you to jump. The problem with that is because you're supposed to be stealthy, you'll run up to an object that looks climbable and it won't be. It looks absolutely gorgeous, it's a sumptuous looking city, but the clunky AI and the inconsistent storyline, what can you say? It's borderline criminal. Casting Clementine was a controversial move for Telltale, and I think it's working both for and against them in season 2, episode 2. In season 1, she was kind of your ward. She was the whole thing that Lee was looking out for. And now you're playing as her, which it works in a sense that you're a young girl in the apocalypse. You feel very vulnerable, but also she's very capable, and you know this because you've been through a lot with her already. However, it makes you like everyone else a lot less because all of these adults that are around this 11-year-old girl are completely fine with sending her into danger. After the Wince-a-thon that was episode 1, it's a little less action-packed, but I think that that's a good thing because the whole brilliant thing about The Walking Dead is it's all about those little decisions, and without going into spoiler territory, that's where all the wonderful sort of really nail-biting things happen in this game. It ends on a cliffhanger, and there is a moment in this episode that fans of the series will be in floods of tears over, and I can't even mention it. But I think we're ramping up for something really special in episode 3. Mercury Steam took everyone by surprise with the first Lords of Shadow game, which was a very elegant 3D hack-and-slash remake of a classic 2D franchise. So the second one has that weight of expectation on it. Unfortunately, it doesn't quite live up to the legacy. You've always been fighting Dracula, but now you are Dracula. So there's a little bit of a vampiric twist on the combat from the first game, which is just as complex and as satisfying as it was before. However, you are now in the modern day, and you're switching between modern day and flashbacks to Dracula's Gothic castle, and unfortunately those locations are a little bit drab. It's good and it works in a way, but unfortunately it takes itself a little bit too seriously in points. It just lacks that little bit of extra bite.
That's your lot for this week. Remember, you can catch up with the breaking tech stories all week on Sky News for iPad or smartphone apps and skynews.com. We'll see you next time.